Same to you. Let's have some fun. Okay. Time to mute myself again.
Yep, if you're moving to new rooms now, do so.
Okay.
We'll go from there. And good luck. For those joining us, this is going to be the final battle of the round robins today. This might even decide who appears in first position, but there is still everything to play for, and should be an exciting round. Hopefully you're still with us, or if you're watching this on recording, I hope you've enjoyed them so far. We are likely to see some good plays in the evening. Alternatively, we're going to see the situation where people are extremely tired, and therefore there may be a little bit of flagging. For those that are watching it live, we will not be doing the finals tonight, as this is quite late in the day, and those will be happening next week.
What was the password again?
The numeral value of 1.
Okay. So we were picking first, second last game. So should we pick first this time, or how's it going to go? Or is there no picking and just log in whatever the fuck you want?
To be this stage, I think that you're all pretty limited in what actual choices you can go for.
Well, not we saved the best for last, so we're not that limited.
I suggest you probably just start choosing what you want, and if there's a conflict in terms of choices, then we'll go from there. It sounds like you already know what you want, so it's not like you're doing it tactically. The problem is that two sides have now both chosen Sylvar and Elves.
It would be tactically because we both want Sylvan Elves.
Yeah, that's the problem right now. So bear with me 1 second, and we'll
And we
try
picked
and...
second last
Yeah,
game,
but
so
they did that too in their
if we
one.
had first pick, I would pick Sylvan Elves.
Yeah, but they picked second in their round as well. So bear with me 1 second.
That's kind of stupid and unfair. Because he was in first, he gets to pick Sylvan Elves.
No, that's not what I said. I said that he also picked second as well. I'm going to try and sort it out. I've not made any fairness one way or the other. Bear with me 1 second.
How about neither of us pick Sylvan Elves? That would solve it. It's fine, we don't have Mortar anyway. They can have Mortar.
And I'm just flipping the coin. And it is heads. I just flipped the coin and it is heads. So Archangel will be able to choose Sylvan Elves, I'm afraid.
I'd still argue that none of us should pick Sylvan Elves. That would be the most fair thing. Like, deciding it by luck is also not very... I don't know. But if it's ruling, I'm fine, whatever. Yeah, same did we. No, we already used those.
Harambe, is your ally still with us?
Yeah,
Ah,
it's because I muted you.
you're
And
not
then
in
no
the.
Harambe.
You're not in the.
in the last in the last game, I muted you.
Ah, okay. So, Igor, are you gonna be joining us in the battle?
Yeah, of
He will.
course.
He's booting up.
Okay. One. What do you guys talk about our why did no one take the Sylvanas and
Okay, so just double check. It's going to be Rohan and Arnor for yourselves in Team 1?
We not completely decided yet.
Oh, okay. For those watching, they're just formulating which forces they want to take. Obviously, they both wanted to take Sylvar and Elves, and they've both been saving it for this final battle, which could be an important decider. Um, the fairest way I could do it was that they got to take it on a coin flip. Both of them picked their forces second in terms of the selection of forces last round, so there was no obvious sort of advantage that could be gained from either of them. But it will be interesting to see what they finally go with. It appears that they might be sitting on Arnor and the Orcs of Gundabad. Um, so we will find out how that shapes up. Obviously place your bets now. Okay, I'm going to start the 10-minute timer for setting your team up. Obviously, if you finish that earlier than that, feel free to ready up and we'll get this started. Is there any other final questions before we begin? Okay, I'll take that as a no. Right, your 10 minutes starts now. For those that are watching us live, thank you for spending so long supporting the tournament. This is the first one that we've ever done and attempted to do. We've made a number of learnings, I think, in terms of how we would organise it differently. Um, we did what we could under quite a lot of pressure, and obviously we do have real lives outside of the modding and the creation of the tournament. But we do thank everyone for joining us. Obviously, without the support of yourselves, we can't make the mod successful. And in the same sense, you help also sort of find like errors, niggly bits, suggestions, and sort of future content for it as well. So we're pleased to have you with us on this journey. Again, if you have enjoyed what you've seen, then please feel free to download the mod if you haven't already. Or like I said, you can watch Pixelated Apollo's YouTube where a number of these battles also take place. This idea of streaming may become a regular thing going forward. We're not sure yet. We may look to do it more often with some of our scenarios to do them live, and also to consider the possibility of maybe a couple more tournaments. Perhaps you can see some of the commanders try and take on each other if there's enough interest in that. Um, Although we may have a bit of a luck of the draw roulette in terms of what factions we get to play as, just to keep things interesting maybe. Um, Again, if you do think that this is fun and something you're interested in, please feel free to follow the channel, and hopefully that will give you information as and when. And stay within the Discord, which we have if you don't have access to that already, and that will be a good source of most information that we can give and provide to you. As always, if you have any specific feedback, we're always willing to take on board anything you say and help shape and drive changes for the community. We're just at the point here where they're just finishing up their army choices, and once that happens we will get this started and hopefully find an enjoyable game. It's in their interest for both parties to go for a win here rather than a draw, as a draw only gets taken into account if there isn't any outright winners, and it appears that they are getting to the point where they are going to start readying up. Archangel and Harambe are generally pretty good at readying up quite early. I think that they possibly are well prepared in that sense, and certainly know what they're looking for when it comes to picking their army and their compositions. Haru and Starling generally spend a little bit longer talking about how they can work together a lot more and what kind of synergies they can build with one another, and I think that just takes them a little bit slightly longer, but I'm sure that they'll be coming through pretty quickly. Again, if you are interested in what we are doing, the finals should be next week, probably starting about 7 GMT. And with that, we are readied up, and we're going to start to load in to the battle. While we're loading up, guys, just again to say thank you very much for helping supporting this tournament. Obviously, we can't do it without the contributions and efforts from yourselves, and we really do appreciate everything that you guys have helped support us with the mod. And best of luck to you both, and have a very good game. Now for the traditional tell them which colour I am.
The deployment is kind of weird like this.
Yeah, don't worry, I'm dark green.
Yeah, I know, but for them it could be an issue.
No, don't worry, we've done it before, it's not a problem. You might be at a bit of slight of a weird angle, but you're both going to be at a weird angle to each other, don't worry. It's not, we've done it previously and it's never caused particularly one side to have an advantage over the other. I've seen sides which have had the 3 win and sides that had the 2 win, so it's never mattered too much. At least not enough to make it a significant advantage to one team. So you can see now that they are just lining themselves up. Looks like we have a good Warg contingent and also some Numenorians here from... they've all redeployed. We've got some Uruk-hai, again, very strong, powerful unit. Looks like some Witch Realm Hammerers, a very elite Mordor force. Quite impressive, in fact. And they've also got a Ballista again, probably a sniping unit. They're bringing it to try and combat some enemy catapult, I would have thought. And my apologies, by the way, that's not Mordor, that'll be Gundabad. So I'm sorry about that. again, Gundabad heavily buffed since from the mod compared to how they were. And one of the additions you can see here is the Lokai with the large sort of horns on their head, very inspired by the Peter Jackson version that was delivered. Regardless of what you think of the film, that's how they were pitched, and that's how they've been created by Sin of the Dark Cloud. You see here some steel bowmen in place from Arnor. Got some strong spear units, kind of susceptible to javelins, so they need to be careful if they see any of those. Strong infantry force here, actually. Possibly either means they're going to go on the push, because they don't have the most, besides the steel bowmen, of course. They don't have the most in the way of archers, although they have taken the full capacity, so should be good. It'd be interesting to see if they look to stay behind the spikes or if they will push out. I'm hoping they will. And here's where sort of the real meat of their force lies, which is within their cavalry. Again, very hard to keep these cavalry pinned down. Good spear cavalry can be very successful against enemy forces if you can get control of that cav fight. Other than that, the wargs probably will be used heavily as anti-cav for the opponents, with the spear cav being probably anti-infantry. And we're about to get underway. And yep, you can see here that the Shadow Guard will be prepared to move forward. And their opponents, very wide force here, coming from the Mordor force, looking definitely like they've got some large numbers and some very big bunching by the Silvarian elves. You can see here that they've got a large sort of archer unit at the front, a little bit of the Pathfinders, some Royal Guard, very strong Royal Guard there. Again, more archers sort of around in the Palace Guard. No obvious artillery is set for, again, another sniping ballista. So we may see ballista versus ballista. In terms of cav, we have what looks like some Inquisitor Witch Realm. And that's about it on that's probably his general unit. And then over here, yep, so here we go. We've got the Numenorians, probably the full contingent there of 2 Numenorian cavalry, which will be a close fight with the wargs, but my money will be on the wargs in terms of that if they get to be on a one-on-one. And you can see here the very long formation of the Numenorian archers. So this is almost going to be evil humans versus evil orcs in some respects, with a couple of sort of more cheaper units here. And it actually looks like Mordor is going to withdraw and pull back. Same with the Silvarin elves. Interesting play. They obviously have felt that the positioning they had or the setup they've got is not the one they were hoping for, and they've taken a few steps back, and it's possibly they're in range of the archer fire a little bit earlier than they'd like. And now they're just trying to reposition themselves, and they're probably going to try and maybe curve themselves to give themselves a bit of a V sort of positioning between the two of them. A very small elven unit, very elite. However, they will be susceptible to cav charges if they can't win the cavalry battle between one another. Neither side particularly keen at this stage to head out too far, but I imagine we will start seeing the skirmishers start to push forward, start to try and get into range, and we'll probably start to see whether the steel bowmen of Arnor will be an equal match to the Silvarin elves. And here we go. It looks like we're going to start seeing Arnor and Gundabad begin their march forward, which isn't too surprising. I think since the fact that the other team pulled back, there's a sign as why that took place. And we're going to see the Numenorian Shadow Guard leading from the front, and hopefully they're going to start to try and pepper down. Now again, I talked about this before, so people who are new to the channel or didn't see it before, I wouldn't necessarily position my forces in this way, at least not while I still think that there's relatively safe from cavalry. I think that longer lines are preferable than these sort of square open formations. And the reason I suggest that is as the archer fire comes over from the opposing skirmishers, anything that would normally be an overrun for the first two ranks will actually hit the second, third and fourth. Whereas if you spaghetti them out a little bit, those missed shots will go over the heads and basically just hit the dirt behind them. The only time I'd probably do this is if I was concerned about cavalry. So one of the things you can do if you think your cavalry is going to get charged and you can't do anything about it, is you can put them in loose formation. Now what that does is it makes the impact of the charge a little less strong because they can't get as deep into the ranks, and therefore your losses get a little bit lessened by that. And what's happened here is the Gunnery forces have made their ambushing units sort of crouch down, which is pretty fair, although I think that's probably just because he stopped them moving as opposed to anything tactical. And Arnor now are going to start moving up their archers to see whether they can get into range here. Over on the other side, not much movement really. I think they're a little bit more blob than they should be. If that ballista fire starts coming over and probably trying to snipe the opposing forces ballista, I think we'll see some of these valuable units from the Sylvan Elves being hit. But we'll have to see what happens from here on out. Neither side seems too ready to commit, even to the skirmish phase. So this may be a long one. I'm hoping that they haven't made an agreement just to draw the battle. Mordor very branched out, very long again on this flank. Not entirely sure why he does that, because if these two forces here decide to just gang up on the Sylvaran Elves, these archers and these forces are going to struggle to make their way over to support their ally if they come in quite hard, and it might be a tactic to try and draw people over. And you can see here the Temple Guard from Harambe are going to start to move up, and here come in the fire arrows. Now, I don't think he probably wanted to do fire arrows necessarily. It's just that when it's a night battle with the rain, they will automatically start on fire arrows normally, and they need to be switched off. So again, as you can see here, the arrows are coming in. Arrows which should normally overshoot are hitting the rows behind. So he has running the risk of possibly losing more men than he needs to. And we're going to start seeing probably standard shot coming in shortly in a response volley as the Numenorian Shadow Guard start dueling with the Sindar archers over there. It'd be interesting to see what it is the Numenorians are targeting. Are they going for the infantry or are they going for the back lines? Again, it looks like the elves are pulling back. Obviously, continuing to try and either kite them into a different position that they were happy with, or maybe they didn't like the fact that their melee were in the front lines and actually they prefer their archers were taking a little bit more of the hits. And you can see here they're moving their Royal Guard archers up after moving their infantry back, so they're going to switch places with one another, and I think they still want to try and get that ballista into position. They obviously still have seen something they want to hit, possibly the cav, but they're just trying to get it into range. And it's starting to become a little bit more of a bigger push by Einar. Again, possibly booned by the fact there's no catapult, but I don't know. The Sylvaran Elves are very good archers, and they seem to be blobbing a little bit, which means that ammo from the archers of the Sylvarans, which there is plenty, is going to connect more often than not. So we'll see what happens here. And what I think they're likely to do is do what I suggested, which is they're going to possibly try and defeat one side of the army while the other side is too far off. And I think that what's going to have to happen here is I think either Mordor needs to start to swing round, or it's going to have to come over to support its ally, because I think he's going to get blocked off, and they're going to try and finish off the Sylvaran Elves first. And you can see that the ballista struggling to get into position. I think that they're happy with. They've moved it around a little bit now, and it's getting to the point where it seems to be becoming more of a hindrance to their formation than anything better than that, as they haven't really been able to bring it to bear. And I think we're going to probably start to see the ballista on the imposing side start choosing its targets, although they in turn are also trying to get into position. So possibly something strange going on with the map, but they're struggling. But again, they start to begin to commit. This cav is going to be extremely important. If they can get the cavalry units of Mordor and the Sylvaran Heirs working effectively, then that can really hurt. But here they come. Here's the cav charge. This looks like it's going to be an opening charge. Possibly. No, they've changed their mind. They're slowing it down. They're having a rethink. Whatever it was that they spotted or they saw, they didn't like the look of, and they've slowed it down. Still, you know, a fresh unit. And they're obviously waiting to see what the positioning of the enemy cav's likely to be. And again, the Sylvarin Elves pulling back, not engaging, not taking the battle which is being presented to them. They want to keep pushing back. If they push back too far, they're going to find themselves out of position without their ally alongside them. So what these guys need to do, what Gundabad and Arnold need to make sure that they do, is don't let themselves get turned too much, but also keep themselves together. They don't want to make it so that this army cannot support this army, because that's exactly what they're trying to do here. And if that's a box, I'm going to get really upset. So I'm just sending out a little message to him, as that's a little bit boxy, and I'm going to want him to start changing his formation from that, because that's not inclusive to the gaming style that we're looking to commence, because he's basically making it so it's very difficult for anyone to get into there, and it's called a new box for a reason. But again, he is withdrawing his archers back, and that's going to give a nice opening to get through. I'm not quite sure. Maybe he's got them in skirmish mode, or maybe he's just very worried about the cav charge. But it's now going to leave the Pathfinders in prolonged melee, and the Arnold Knights have got an opportunity now to get some nice kills on the ballista. This is kind of what I was saying before. They're allowing themselves to try and destroy this army here, push through, while Mordor is going to have to try and get over and get past Gundabad. And I don't think Gundabad's going to let them do it. I think that what the Gunners has done is they've sent over their elite forces, which is their Witch Hammer Guard, and they're going to send over their Witch Realm Inquisitors on their cav, and they're going to just keep harassing Mordor, not allowing them to form up, not allowing them to get into position, and they're basically always going to have this big long flank here, which is going to get exposed because they can't sort out their lines. And if they can get round here and they can start sending some infantry to silence some of these archers, then we're going to see probably the front line start to crumble. And you can see that the cav is starting to push through here. However, the Pathfinders are doing well against the Knights of Annuminus. He needs to keep cycle charging those in. Their strength comes from their charge bonus, and he's struggling to do that. Although he should win comfortably with the numbers he has against the mounted Temple Inquisitors, but he needs to get this force, like I said, really into the groove of cycle charging, because he doesn't want to get caught out. So this force here, although they've gone deep and they're starting to silence the archers here, they have let themselves get caught in behind by the Pathfinder Elders. He needs to get these men of arms up past this battle line, and he needs to get right up into those Elder Pathfinders, close them down, sort of swamp them in, because he's losing his cav force here, and he has a very costly engagement. I can see what he's trying to do, but he wasn't able to follow it up with the infantry, and so he got cordoned off. And again here, infantry has come in to support the Inquisitors. He needs to get that cycle charge going. He needs to possibly consider sending one of maybe his pikemen or his men-at-arms over to deal with this and support his cav, because he can't lose that cav battle. He needs to keep pushing because of the strategy they've gone for. He needs to keep getting stuck in. He needs to keep pushing. He needs to destroy these elves before Mordor can realign themselves, because right now Gundabad is doing a great job at keeping Mordor busy. He's really making it so that they can't really push through. They can't come and support their ally, so they can really use their numbers on the force that they've got here. And he's only got, say, 3 or 4 forces along with his cav, just trying to keep them busy here. And it looks like he's going to find a gap here. He's going to try and push through, and he's going to try and possibly get to those temple guards. If he can keep that going with the Borg champions, he should be able to get into those temple guard and really start chewing them up. He's got to be careful though, because if he gets too many arrow shots into him, they can drop. But it looks like he's going to make it. He's lost lost one there, and he's in. So we really got to hope that those Temple Guard are on guard mode, otherwise they're going to stop firing. And it looks like they have. It looks like they weren't in guard mode, so they are going to stop fighting. He is going to silence them, and the Cav is going to start chewing up those guys in prolonged melee. It may be interesting to see whether the Spearman unit here is going to come over and support, or if they're just going to leave that where it is and instead move up their shield guard. Looks like the heavy cavalry from Gundabad is going to reposition besides the walls that are already engaged in the archer fight, and they're going to try and continue to fight these Silvarin elves. You can see now that the battle line is actually bulging. They're actually doing a good job at pushing it, but what they need to make sure is don't get U'd in too much. And you can see the Temple Inquisitors are starting to fight now with the men-at-arms. This is the point where they need to get the cycle charges in, but the Pathfinders are making it very difficult for them with the Inquisitors here, and if they're not lucky, the Inquisitors are going to come and support their flank, and they're going to come in and come in behind. The good news is that they have got the Steel Bowmen really peppering down those Pathfinders, and that should really help. If they can keep doing that, then these Elder Pathfinders should melt away with enough time. But the Temple Inquisitors, in the meantime, are going to continue their charges, and I suspect that the Steel Bowman is probably going to be their next choice. Oh, and the Knights of Numinous may get a charge in the back here, and sorry, in the front, but one of them got hit in the back. And yet that one does get taken out, and it's a good charge from the Pathfinders, which is a good unit, but they are still starting to drop. However, cycle charge is now coming in from the Mounted Inquisitors, and you can see that the archers are now trying to focus on them. It will get them a little bit of friendly fire, but in this case, it's worth it to try and get that Cav off the field. If they can get Cav superiority, then it'll be really good. Looks like the Witch-Realm Inquisitors did a couple cycle charges into the Temple Guard. It'll be interesting to see how the Borgs are doing. So the Borgs did lose quite a lot in that engagement. They obviously got arrowed down by a lot of melee and archer fire, and here you can see that the spear guard are now going to come in to the trapped wargs that got trapped up with the mounted shield guard, while the secondary unit is now trying to make its way over to the shield guard. No, it's not. It's going to come around and try and take out the wargs. The trolls are now going to get engaged. They've been held back in reserve, but they're now coming over relatively quickly. You can see the ballista is now set up. It'll be interesting to see what the ballista is choosing that it's going to choose for its target. Now, especially since they were able to take out the opponent's ballista quite early on with a very strong cav charge. And here they go. Yep, they're going for that pocket of armies there. They're going to try and get some nice lines. It looks like getting 3 or 4 kills, just kind of making them shaken, just kind of weakening them up, and you can see they're wavering. If they can get those trolls in there early, it may even cause a rout, and if that's a rout of... Oh, they did! They have! They've broken the guard. There's a spearman unit of 227 there that are routed and broken. That is fantastic news. That's a real game changer. That's really good. Those guys, I don't think they're going to be coming back to the field now. Now, you can see the Numenorians going head first now, charging into some of these archers. You can see they're making some good work against the Shadow Guard, and they're going to do it again here. The trolls trying to take some of that charge in the face. I'm not sure if I would have done that. I think I probably would have come in with them, but because they're technically an infantry unit, that charge can hurt the trolls quite significantly, and I think they're probably worth more than the Shadow Guard with the shared ammunition process that is in Third Age. But with the troll support, I think we'll see an end to these shield guard. They are shaken again. And I think we'll probably see them fall down. On this side, you can see again the infantry battle is starting to slow down a little bit. It looked like for whatever reason there was the Arnor Knights have men-at-arms have seemingly been wiped out quite significantly. It looks like Arnor really only just has a lot of steel bowmen, a lot of archer units, but they still have that key cavalry unit. So if they can just finish off the last cavalry of their opposing force, then this can still go either way. Looking at the balance of power, it does say that my allies, who is the Dunedain, Arnor, and the Gundabad, are at a disadvantage, and they have lost about 15% more. But that is remembering that obviously the elves are a very small force, and so Arnold does have more units. But it looks like a little bit of an unfortunate archer attack into the backs of his own Witcher Inquisitors. He doesn't want to lose those. Those are a good unit, and he really wants to win that cav battle. Those Knights of Numinous, though, they're a very expensive unit, and they're extremely powerful. He needs to make them worth it. He needs to get those charges going. If he can get rid of these Temple Inquisitors, then he can start to vaporize his opponents. And again, he's still firing his archers in. It's not bad to fire your archers at... mounted units, but you've got to really be careful of your own ones, especially when they're expensive like that. But this is a juicy target up here, around here. He can really make the most of it. Dismounted Doom and Iron Knights, here they go. They're going to try and silence some more of these forces. And this looks like the old spear unit that was breaking again. And I don't know why they're charging after it. We'll see if that continues to go anywhere. I think they really need to reform. It's possibly a missed micro, and now he's getting shot down, so he really needs to get back into that fight. Really even considered going for these archers at the back. And it does look like Gundabad has lost their general. That's a real shame. But you can see here that they're getting ready for some hammer and anvil. Trolls coming in to try and soak that up. They just need to get rid of this sticky cav unit that's causing them a little bit of problems. If they can get rid of it, then I think they'll put them about in a better shape, because they're getting a good hammer and anvil on the Witch Hammer Guard, which are expensive and strong, and definitely worth its money. Temple Guard still there firing away. Very good unit, very good armor piercing. And you can see that they have got dismounted Dunedain Knights in the back line, starting to really sort of slow down this archer fire. But I suspect they are going to get focused down relatively quick, and they need to get this cav working. They need to start using the fact that they found out that they can break forces to great effect and get some rich charges off. They need to get some hammer and anvil, and they need to try and break the forces. I mean, breaking that unit of 177 was really good, and they need to keep trying to do that if they're going to win here. And it actually looks like the spearmen are coming back. They haven't been chased entirely off the field. It does look like they're going to return. They aren't fully broken. They may break again, but we'll see what happens. They've obviously recovered from whatever issue they had. The balance of power is starting to slip away from my allies, which is Gundabad and Arnor. So we will see how this goes and how this plays out. But I'm starting to think that it might be that the Silvaran Elves and Mordor has this one in the bag. But they still do have the ballista, and it is still firing at expensive unit of the sword masters, which is, or blade masters even, which is definitely a target worth shooting. They are extremely strong, very good, definitely one of the elites, probably one of the most powerful sort of shock infantry that there is in the game right now, and definitely worth shooting them down and focusing on them. I wouldn't want to go up against those at all. And each ballista shot is another one dead, and they really need to... Oh, another two dead. And they really need to do that. That's fantastic. Trolls still making their presence known, keeping the front lines going, although they are starting to run a little bit thin on the infantry. Again, it'll be interesting to see what happens to that cavalry and whether it still exists, as they really need to get that working. Palace Guard now going in against the Númenórean Shadow Guard. I think that they'll probably win that battle unless they find some support, but I do think some arrow shots possibly coming in from the side here. The Dunedain Steel Bowmen now caught in melee with the Temple Inquisitors. I think that the Temple Inquisitors, who are also backed up by some Blade Masters, will be pretty confident in that battle. I think it's getting the point where it's going to get a little bit close to the end of the battle now, and we'll start to see, I think, a victory for the Elves and Mordor as they start charging forward now. And the Ballista, I don't think, is going to take out this unit before they get there. And I think they're going to be supported enough. Unless they suddenly break, I think we're going to see them turn around and make it into combat with these Shadow Guards, silencing those bows. But you never know. As the Ballista comes in, taking out another two. And if they can get another shot off, that might work into their favour. I don't think this unit's going to break, though. It's a strong, well-disciplined unit. One of the most expensive that you can purchase. And there they go. They've gone into the battle now. And I think we'll see them chew those guys up. And the Númenóreans, the mountains that are still there harassing, are going to go in and silence the Ballista and take it out of commission now, I think, once and for all. Dunedain Rangers reforming. And looks like some battle-ready Dunedain. Relatively healthy unit of them as well. I wonder where they've been. It's possible they routed and then have come back, or they were left in reserve. They're coming in now to try and see if they can put some real pressure on. But I think it's possibly a little bit too late. I think that they're going to struggle. And I think that with the trolls here starting to go down a little bit, yeah, they're about half strength now. And without the much support left from the hammerers who have now broken, I think we're going to start to see the beginning of the end. Looks like he withdrew his Numenorian Sword Guard a little bit, but I think the Blade Masters are just going to continue to follow up. But they are now both, I think, going to go for the Ballista. If the Dunine Rangers can get some nice shots, perhaps they can save it in point-blank range. I don't know whether the Sword Guards still have any ammo. Some of them do have their bows out, so we'll have to see how that goes. But it looks like they're going to charge into those Dunedain Rangers, and they're going to get probably a good hit. Although he is trying to avoid it as best he can. Sword Blade Masters now, they're going to finish off what's left of the artillery, and I think that the mounted Numenorians are now going to try and make their way to get another hammer and anvil on the battle-ready Dunedain. They've just joined the battle to try and support. And here it comes. Let's watch this nice and close. And there they go. The Dunedain Battle Ready are a very good unit, strong two-handed unit. They only lost a few forces there, and I think that they'll be quite happy with not losing too many from that charge. A shame that none of the cavalry went down. That's still problematic, but it does look like some heavy infantry is going to come in now and just kind of envelop that, and they're going to have back-to-back fighting there with quite an important unit. Other than that, you can see the bowmen still fighting away, doing what they can against the heavy, and you can see that one lone cavalry unit continues to try and charge in just to harass, see if they can break it, but down he goes. That's the end of that force. And we still have some Elder Council and some archers doing the best they can to finish off the forces remaining, and I think they're going to. I don't think we're going to see too much more of those left now.
Our ally lies dead. Without their general, they may lose heart and flee.
And we're starting to see the Emit defeats coming in.
While his soldiers still fight.
And they're now just mopping up their remnants. And I think we'll see the close here. Yeah, they're just starting to rout. It's the final remaining Dunedain Rangers just holding on for the final charge. Good game to all the players. It was really fun to watch, really aggressive, definitely the sort of techniques and what we want to see, and really what makes this battle and this mod and this game stand the test of time after 10 years, that people still play, enjoy, and get so much love out of it. But that looks like that's going to be it as the final forces rout off of the field. And we are going to leave you there. Thank you much for staying with us, and tune in next week for when we will come to the finals, and hopefully it will be a good one. We will just wait to see the scores when they appear. And there they are. So you can see here that really the Sylvain Elves really made up for their worth. They didn't lose too many, and they killed a large chunk. Arnor probably taking the brunt of that for the most part. But you can see here that the two evil factions really well placed, really well matched actually. They did very well against one another, especially since Haru sent a much smaller force than the large forces and numbers of Mordor, although he probably took that just to try and make up for the small Silvarin elves. But they did look like they had more than what it appeared to be. Again, thank
Holy
you
crap,
everyone.
guys, that was awesome.